See all the smiles here at the Kingdom Hall, particularly with Jim and Sally. You know, weddings are certainly a happy event for all of us, and in the Bible they're described as a very happy occasion. I'd like to read about one such event. If you'd like to open your Bibles to John chapter 2, verse 1 and 2. Of course, you remember this event. This is the one that Jesus attended. It said, "Now on the third day, a marriage feast took place in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples were also invited to the marriage feast." And you know about the result of the marriage feast. Jesus all of a sudden had to perform a miracle because the wine ran out. And you can just imagine the wine he made. It was probably the best that was ever served on earth. And everybody really had a joyful, everybody was in attendance, was really joyful. Marriage in the Bible is one of the earliest events in human history for mankind. Really, it's an expression of Jehovah God's loving kindness to man on earth. Let's open our Bibles to Genesis chapter 2, if you have it with you. If you'd like to read about marriage and Jehovah's purpose for man. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. It says, "Jehovah God went on to say, 'It's not good for the man to continue by himself. I'm going to make a helper for him as a complement of him.'" And then in verses 21 through 24, it says, "Hence Jehovah God had a deep sleep fall upon the man. And while he was sleeping, he took one of his ribs and then closed up the flesh over its place. And Jehovah God proceeded to build the rib that he had taken from the man into a woman and to bring her to the man. Then the man said, 'This is at last bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one will be called woman, because from this one, from man, this one was taken. That is why a man will leave his father and his mother, and he must stick to his wife, and they must become one flesh.'" See, it was God's purpose for man. The purpose, really, of marriage on the earth was for the reproduction of the members of the human family and to bring into existence more creatures of humankind. That's what Jehovah God purposed it for. So Jehovah made man, male and female, and so that they could complement one another. Let's go back to the early purpose of the Creator in Genesis chapter 1, verses 27 and 28. It says, "God proceeded to create the man in his image. In God's image he created him, male and female he created them. Further, God blessed them, and God said to them, 'Be fruitful, become many, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have in subjection the fish of the sea, the flying creatures of heaven, and every living creature that's moving upon the earth.'" What a happy thing for God to do in man's behalf. And really, they were made to complement one another or to enhance each other's position on the earth. Well, let's just review some marriage events today. Can we say that marriage really is a happy event? They say that from secular statistics that 48% of marriages end up in divorce. Some call marriage like a battlefield. They say it's really a place to start war. Some refer to their mate as the War Department or the old battle axe. Others say that after a person gets married, and this is a statistic that I just heard the other day, after 1 year of being married, that they spend 37 and a half minutes apiece during the week communicating. Can you imagine that? Just 37 and a half minutes. So what is marriage all about today? What is the Christian's responsibility toward their marriage arrangement? What's the responsibility of the partners? Well, it's called in the Bible, marriage is a gift from Jehovah. Now, if we receive a gift from someone, we really cherish the gift, don't we? We certainly don't abuse it. We put it in the proper place and use it for what it was intended. And a gift can really bring us much happiness if it's given in the right manner. Notice in the Bible, in Luke chapter 14, the basis that we should consider when we think about getting married and the foundation we need to build it on. Very important thing, because today so many marriages are just gone into without any forethought whatsoever. In Luke chapter 14, verses 28, 29, and 30, here's what it says. For example, who of you that wants to build a tower does not first sit down and calculate the expense to see if he has enough money to complete it? And Sally and Jim have done that. I know just a few years ago, Jim and I were backpacking together, and he told me, he said, "I sure love that Sally," he said. So for a couple of years now, Jim's been thinking about this and calculating the expense. He has a full-time job, and I'm sure he's made all kinds of arrangements to take care of his dear wife. Because this is what would happen otherwise. It says he might lay its foundation, but not be able to finish it, and all the onlookers might start to ridicule him, saying, "This man started to build but was not able to finish." And what's the result of that kind of activity? 48% divorce, because no forethought or planning or consideration for the other person really has gone into it. So you see, thinking about getting married is one thing, but really laying a good foundation for it is another thing that we really need to consider. Jim and Sally both have a fine background of living in harmony with the Creator's purposes, and you couldn't build your marriage on a better foundation. In fact, the marriage is bound to succeed if you really depend on the Creator. The same person that told me about the 48% divorce said that just as a general rule, people that pray together in the morning only have a 3% chance of their marriage ending up in failure. So you see the difference in statistics by staying close to the Creator. It certainly makes a lot of difference. So Jim and Sally, they both have felt a very strong attraction to one another up to this point. Now they've decided to get married. Now another principle begins to come into play at this point. Let's turn over to 1 Corinthians chapter 13 in the Bible. And here's what it says. Interesting thought, you know, a person that in this 13th chapter of 1 Corinthians, it talks about love. And I didn't stop to realize this, but a person that's just getting married really doesn't know what true love is. One person said that he didn't really begin to love his wife until they'd been married for 25 years. He really didn't get the full understanding of that. And there was a lot to that, too, because as we read the description of love in the Bible, we see that it takes an awful lot of effort to get true love, and you just don't fall in love. It means that you really work hard to attain it. Here's what it says. It says, love is long-suffering. How could you really love somebody unless you suffer long with them, you see?